Super Mayhem.
Hello friends, it's Tim here again from Super Mayhem. Oh! And boy howdy, do we have some fun Game Genie hacking action for you today. So in this edition of our Game Genie Hijinx series, we're going to take a look at one of the Super Nintendo's most popular games, or at least a variation of it, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Why the Turbo version? Well, it is quite confusing as to which the original game was, as there are like 3 or 4 versions for the SNES, and that isn't including region differences or hacks. So Turbo it is! I may cover the original Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior one day, but today we're going into Hyper Mode. So anyway, with all that said, if you like Street Fighter in any way, shape or form, then be sure to smash a big fat Hadouken on the like button, share it with your friends, make a comment maybe about what you ate last or something, and of course subscribe with notifications on. And with all that said, on with the show! First off, I had to try the code that inspired this entire video, and that is DD18-570D, which is possibly the best or worst code there is simultaneously. With this Game Genie code in play, the first hit from either you or your opponent defeats the other. So basically the first punch or kick wins. Naturally this is super handy as long as you are quick off the beat. Take that ZANGIEF, Ryu wins this one. Also, how good is it to be cheered on by elephants when you beat Dalsim? It's pretty good. An interesting contrasting code is 891F-84AD, which kind of does the opposite to the first. With this code, most of your attacks either given or received will do no damage. This sounds like it would make the game impossible, right? But never fear, your throws still work and will do damage. So it's kinda like who can throw the most Street Fighter mode. It's kind of cool even if Zangief has that annoying jump spin throw thing. You'd better get used to him too, as he will probably feature a lot being one of the first enemies. DF04-5DAF is a rather interesting Game Genie code. With this one, whomever wins the second round ends up winning the fight. So in my demo here I lost the first round, and then just to test the code, I used some super kicking skills of mine and beat the poor old Zangief, and sure enough it counted as 2 victories. This could be a fun one to use if you're playing 2-player. It would really confuse your mate when you play dead the first round and then smash them in the second round for the win. If you want to shorten each fight a bit, then the sweet cheat code 9691-E76D may be for you. With this bad boy in place, you will only have half as much time to admire Guile's flat top, as each of you start the round with only half your energy. This naturally makes the rounds a bit shorter, but it also increases the tension, as each hit really hurts when you start with only half your life. If you want a challenge, give this one a go. Part of the change to the regular Street Fighter 2, with the Turbo Edition, was the ability to change the game's speed at the start of the game. You could usually choose between 1 and 4 stars for maximum speed. However, with the sweet 2-line Game Genie code ADFC-E40D plus F9FC-E46D, you can increase the speed all the way up to 10 stars for Turbo mode. This is actually pretty hilarious, especially when you choose someone slow and large like E-Honda. Look at these chubbies go, they are really moving it. If you want to speedrun the game like no one else ever has, then these 2 codes are the ones for you. The cheat code 3B02-8F6F has got to be one of the classics of this video. Basically, when you or your opponent dies, the fight still continues on with the other one unconscious. This means you or the computer continues to fight without anyone to hit because their opponent's body is laying on the ground. Ultimately, this ends up in a draw because the time runs out, so you can't actually progress in the game, but it does allow you to do the Duck of Doom on Chun-Li after a battle, which is oddly satisfying. The Game Genie code 55F2-E7A0 is kind of a subtle one, but it is also interesting. With this one in play, every hit you take, even if you or your opponent is blocking, will knock down the player. This also had an interesting end to it, as when I lost testing this code, instead of laying down knocked out, my character just kind of awkwardly stood there to the tune of losing. Weird code, but interesting. On the contrary to the last code, DFF2-7761 is a weird one that will take effect after you win a round. Once you win, the game appears to freeze. Then your character will appear knocked out for a little bit, and then all of a sudden jumps back up and enjoys the victory. I guess it's a bit like a soccer foul or something. Pretend you are hurt to win. Another quick interesting final hit code is C2F9-7705, which is a pretty straightforward code. As long as the final hit isn't a throw, your opponent will suddenly combust and be flamed to death. Pretty sweet. And now a quick word from our fake sponsor. Have you just been yoga flamed by Dalsim? Come on down and dip your feet into Keith's Pools Emporium. We've got above ground pools, below ground pools, and that's about it, I guess. There's 2 types of pools. So what are you waiting for? Come on down to Keith's Pools, where you can get a pool. Just buy the big banana, or you can call us on 1-900-2-POOLS. Warning, phone number may lead to adult services. Do not call. Call us now. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Back to the Street Fighter 2 Game Genie stuff. By now you may have guessed that my favourite player is Ryu. So with the cheat code EE5F-7D67, you can make every character's face on the player select screen Ryu. This also messes up the map with every country/place named Japan. When you actually highlight or select characters, they remain their usual selves though. The code 55DE-E7A0 also affects the player select screen, but this time you can't see any faces. The map is all distorted, and it is also hard to move to different characters sometimes. It's hard to describe, but it's kind of sticky or something. Anyway, this is a bit of a lame code, but still interesting. Another super weird graphics code is 8BE6-E7A0, which seems to completely destroy a lot of the background colours and animations. Even the intro is broken, with weird colours and missing text. The player select screen is once again distorted, with weird or even missing faces, but you can still kind of work out who most of the people are. When you play an actual round, the background of the levels are almost completely gone, or at the very least scrambled. You can't really tell what the life bars are doing either, so you have to kinda guess what you are doing so you can win or not. All in all, this is a pretty sweet graphics related code that you should check out if you like this kind of thing. If you are like me and you just like to watch video games, then try the Game Genie code 77F1-7FD4. With this in place, when you select a turbo match, it is like a CPU Ken versus other CPU characters. It's kinda strange, as the game just takes over and does its own thing. Plus, no matter who wins the bout, it will say you lose, and the game will just progress with a CPU character versus the CPU Ken. This could be an interesting continuous livestream if someone didn't know what to livestream. This actually gives me kind of an idea. 56F2-E7A0 is a super weird code. Basically, whenever you hit your opponent, they will freeze in place. Your score keeps going up to Bonkersville, so this is one way to get the highest score. Unfortunately, once you beat your opponent, the game seems to kind of freeze. The background animations and such continue going, but the game doesn't progress, which means you either need to turn off the cheat code to continue or reset the game. You can get into some wacky situations though, like E-Honda feeling up Guile or something. Man, what a six pack. If you want to make the gameplay a bit harder, then try the cheat code 8ED2-87A9. With this bad boy in play, both playing characters are invisible. You can still see the shadow of your players, but man does it get a bit confusing. I somehow won the first round, and then Ken managed to kick my butt whilst I was trying to work out which shadow blob I was. Also, is this guy in the background on the boat doing the Nazi salute? Weird. Anyway, with that strange code, that's it for today my friends. I really hope you enjoyed hacking Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the SNES with me. If you did, then be sure to smash that like button, share this video with your friends, make a comment about the game or something, and of course subscribe with notifications on. And if you really like the mayhem and what I do here, then please consider checking out our join button or Patreon page below to help support future videos. And with all that said, I'll catch you soon.